Could you tell me what PTSD is, or post-traumatic stress disorder?
I'm not sure.
Could you tell me what is PTSD, also known as post-traumatic stress disorder?
From what I know about it, briefly, it's a condition suffered once an individual goes through a certain stressful or, I guess, sensitive situation in their life.
Yeah.
What is PTSD?
Tell me what you think the symptoms of post-traumatic stress are.
Well, it has the word stress in it, so stress, maybe being depressed, sad.
Meet Johnson. He's a former deputy police officer. During one of his calls, he mistook an innocent civilian for a known fugitive. He shot and killed the civilian and can't live with the guilt. Most locations that would bring other people joy only serve as a reminder of the incident. For most, a park seems like a place for fun, but for Johnson, the screams of children trigger memories of the event. He's constantly on edge and has difficulty enjoying his time there. Even at home, he is not comfortable. He can't sleep due to the flashbacks and reoccurring nightmares, and he can often be seen being aggressive or violent to people he encounters in his daily life. Johnson has difficulty talking about the event. Johnson thinks it is normal and the symptoms will go away over time. What he fails to understand is that it gets worse.
This is your brain during PTSD. The central area is the amygdala. It releases a chemical response that increases your heart rate and adds fear when no danger is around. People who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder encounter and experience memories and emotions from their traumatic event.
What emotions do you think people often associate with this illness?
Intense fear.
Okay.
I guess there's triggers, so people can be triggered. So it would probably manifest in the form of extreme stress.
Yeah.
And people will be hyper aware of their surroundings, I suppose, when they feel triggered. They'll be kind of in a state of hyper arousal, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's often a mental health diagnosis.
Yeah.
And the treatment, the only evidence-based treatment for that is dialectical behavioral therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy.
What is dialectic behavioral therapy?
It's a therapeutic intervention done by a practitioner, so usually like a psychologist or a nurse or a social worker, and it teaches people coping and survival skills and the ways to overcome certain intense feelings of distress.
Yeah.
It teaches them crisis survival skills. So during times when they feel like self-harming or they feel suicidal.
Okay.
It teaches them how to anticipate their triggers and reduce their emotional arousal once they start to experience that emotion.
Okay.
It teaches them how to stay in the present state of mind, so not to continue to flash back into the past, or it kind of works on those kinds of skills.
Yeah.
And it just, it really focuses on those feelings of fear, anxiety, distress, suicide, and helps people learn to cope with living with those kinds of feelings.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah. Can I ask you one more question?
Yes.
How would you go about educating teens about PTSD? Like, why do you think it's important to educate people about PTSD?
I think teens are, in my experience working very minimally with youth, I would say that teens are at the greatest risk for, let me just gather my thoughts for a second.
Okay.
Teens are at risk for suicide.
Yeah.
They're at a much greater risk than any other age group that there is.
Mm.
Now meet the new Johnson. He recently decided to get help, and he goes to cognitive behavioral therapy, exposure therapy, and takes antidepressants. He has been getting help from friends and family, and recently decided to eliminate alcohol from his life.